Looking at them today, it's hard to imagine there was ever a time when their lives weren't connected. Most days, a small puppy and his unusual companion stay close to each other around the house and yard. They move together from room to room, from sunlight to shade, from playtime to quiet rest. It has become such a normal sight that it almost feels strange to see one without the other.
You're so cute. And you're so cute.
The puppy is named Benny, and the raccoon who rarely leaves his side is Hercules. To anyone seeing them now, their bond feels simple and natural, like it has always existed. But their story almost never happened.
Benny, did you put this shoe on my pillow? Why? Hercules? Why?
Not long ago, Hercules was fighting just to survive. It all began when an injured raccoon was discovered lying in a driveway. He could barely move. His body was weak, exhausted, and unresponsive in his back legs. Even basic movement seemed difficult. And at first, those who found him couldn't even clearly tell his condition or health. What was clear was that he needed help immediately.
Hercules. Hercules. Come here.
He was taken to a veterinarian for a full examination. The diagnosis pointed to a likely vehicle collision resulting in a spinal injury. Cases like this are unpredictable. Some animals slowly recover, others never regain full function. There were no guarantees, only uncertainty and time.
Left side. So I'm gonna have to ask about that. See what's going on there.
The raccoon was later named Hercules. At that point, the name felt more like hope than reality. His care was taken over by wildlife rehabilitator Lee Fazio, who immediately focused on stabilizing his condition.
You're welcome. Is Hercules saying thank you? Thank you, Daddy.
The early days were quiet. Most of the time, Hercules rested while his body tried to heal. Care focused on the basics: nutrition, hydration, comfort, and giving him a safe environment where recovery could slowly begin.
Hey, can we open this? Here, let's open it.
Progress didn't come quickly. There were no sudden changes, no dramatic turning points. Instead, improvement showed up in small, almost unnoticeable steps. He started eating more regularly. He became more aware of movement and sound around him, and little by little, his strength began to return. Each small sign of progress mattered because it meant he was still fighting.
I think you might like Skittles.
You don't need them.
Then, after a few weeks, something changed. Hercules pushed himself upward. For the first time since his rescue, he managed to stand. It wasn't steady, it wasn't perfect, but it was real. He was upright. Not long after, he began taking careful steps on his own. Seeing him move again felt like watching something return that had almost been lost.
Outside. Good boy. Good boy.
As his body recovered, his personality began to show again. The quiet, exhausted raccoon slowly revealed a curious, active side interested in everything around him, eager to explore and ready to engage with the world again. But because of his injury, returning to the wild was not a realistic option. He needed a different kind of life, one where he could stay safe while still being active and stimulated. That's when a small puppy entered his world. Benny was gentle, playful, and full of energy.
Good morning. Are you ready to get up?
The idea was simple. A companion might help keep Hercules engaged, both physically and mentally. But no one knew what would actually happen when they met. A raccoon and a puppy are not a typical pairing.
What are y'all doing? You giving a massage?
When they were introduced, the moment felt uncertain at first. Hercules approached slowly, then carefully. He reached out. He gently pulled the puppy closer and began grooming his fur, not hesitantly, not defensively, but with surprising calm and care, like something instinctive had clicked into place. Benny's reaction was just as unexpected. He stood still, relaxed, and completely comfortable, his tail gently wagging as if this was something he had always known. From that moment on, something changed between them. They became inseparable. They spent their days together, running through the yard, playing across the floor, or simply resting side by side in quiet comfort. Their bond didn't feel like something forced. It felt natural. Over time, Benny also became an important part of Hercules' continued recovery. His energy encouraged movement, every game became exercise, every chase helped strengthen his body. Staying close to Benny kept Hercules active in ways structured care alone couldn't provide. At the same time, Hercules showed a gentle, protective attachment toward the puppy. He often groomed Benny. He would pull him closer during rest, and at times, it almost looked like he felt responsible for him, like a quiet sense of family had formed between them. Watching them together never really loses its impact. It's a reminder that animals don't always follow the boundaries people expect. Sometimes they form connections that are simple, unexpected, and deeply genuine. When Hercules was first found, survival was uncertain. Today, his life is steady, active, and shared with a companion who rarely leaves his side. Stories like this don't always end this way. Many injured animals don't get a second chance. Hercules did. And in an unexpected way, Benny became part of that second chance. Now their days are filled with simple routines, play, rest, and quiet companionship. A small life shared between two unlikely friends, and a friendship that continues to speak for itself without needing anything more. If you enjoyed the story of Hercules and Benny, please like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more heartwarming animal stories.